Grab yourself a coffee and pull up a seat because today I'm teaching you how to play as the farmer in Mythwind. I'm Mark Maya and this is Board Game Coffee.
Vincent, get back here this instant!
Thank you. Oh, I love you too. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, in this video, we're going to learn how to play as the farmer in Mythwind. If you're interested in learning about other Mythwind characters, check out the other how-to videos that I've linked in the description. There's a video for each character. And if you're looking for the core rules, we've got a link to that too, not to mention a complete index of all the information for this video. All right, let's jump right in and learn how to farm Mythwind style. The farmer's goal is to plant and harvest crops for the citizens of Mythwind Valley. The farmer tends to crops, manages livestock, and purchases equipment, all in an effort to run an efficient and profitable farm that produces a steady income of coins. Before we learn how to play as the farmer, let's get to know him a little bit. First up, crops. As a diligent farmer, you'll be planting, caring for, and harvesting a range of crops represented by various polyomino tokens. Your goal is to slot them into your farmland area, creating fields of diverse crops. And placement is key to yielding the best possible harvest. And although crops do play a big part in your gaming experience, there's more to farming than just watering strawberries. Investing in livestock and equipment will give a nice boost to your farm's efficiency and production. Next, let's talk weather and seasons. Our farmer experiences each season in a truly unique way, where weather isn't just a condition, it's an opportunity. You get to leverage various weather effects each season to perform an additional, sometimes game-changing action. All right, who's ready to plant some polyominoes? Well, right after the setup, I mean. The setup instructions that we're going to cover in this video will focus on what needs to be done to set up the farmer for your first game. For every other game you play with the farmer after this one, you'll need to follow the Continue the Game section laid out in the back of the farmer's journal. That said, let's set up our farmer. First thing you're going to want to do is insert the weather chart here, the farmer's action board here, and place the farmer's header into the top of the tray with this side facing up. Next, take your farmer miniature, a stash of 10 coins, and your 10 farmer skill tokens and place them next to your tray, making sure that the skill tokens are face down like this so that their levels are visible. To prepare your farmer's supply, gather up 15 livestock tokens, 18 equipment tokens, and place them within easy reach. Then, take 24 crop tokens and place them inside your draw bag. Now, reach into your draw bag and randomly select 4 crop tokens, placing one on each plant icon in the crop market. It doesn't matter which side of the token is face up. Lastly, place your 8 untamed land tokens on the farmland in your tray. These tokens can be oriented in any way you like. The only rule when initially setting up the untamed land tokens is that they can't be adjacent to each other, meaning that no two edges can be touching. In other words, this is good, this is not. Here's a little tip. When placing your untamed tiles, try to leave a large section of farmland vacant. This will give you some wiggle room to expand your farm early in the game. Now that we're all set up, let's learn how to play as the farmer. Okay, first we're going to go over a few basic farmer concepts that separates them from all the other characters. This area here is your farmland. This is where crop, livestock, and equipment tokens are placed during the game. There are 3 types of crops: beans, potatoes, and strawberries. Each token is double-sided, showing tended and untended sides. All livestock tokens are the same on both sides, while equipment tokens are double-sided with distinct costs and abilities. When groups of similar crop tiles are adjacent to each other, like this, it's considered a field. For example, this group of potatoes makes up one field, because all their tiles are adjacent to each other, regardless if they're flipped to their tended or untended sides. And although they can be placed next to each other, potato crops that are adjacent to, say, strawberry crops do not form a field because they are not the same type of crop. And remember, tiles are only adjacent if their edges are touching. If you get into a situation like this, then this tile is no longer adjacent to this tile. Up top, you'll find the crop market. This is where our farmer will buy crops to place onto their farmland. The crop market will replenish at the end of the Dusk Phase. Okay, now that we've gone over some of the basics of what it is to be a farmer and the farmer components, let's go over how we play each phase of the day as the farmer. As we mentioned in the video for the core rules, each day in Mythwind is separated into 3 phases: dawn, daytime, and dusk. Many of the rules for those phases have been explained in a core rules video, and consist of steps that are standard between all characters. So I won't be going over those steps in this video. In this video, I'll be focusing on what the farmer character does different during each of those phases. So let's start from the top, the dawn phase. The dawn phase for the farmer adds one additional step. In the core rules video, we learned how to determine the weather, check season effects, and resolve weather effects. Once you're done doing that, the farmer resolves a farmer weather effect. On the farmer's tray, you'll see this weather chart. This lays out specific weather patterns for spring, summer, and fall, each one letting the farmer carry out a special action. And yes, as you might have noticed, there are no benefits for being a farmer in the winter. Here's how it works. First, check the current season on the town board's season tile. As we can see here, it's currently spring. Next, take a look at the latest weather card that we pulled for that day. And according to this, it's sunny. So today is spring and sunny. If that matches the weather pattern on the farmer's weather chart, as it does here, you'll trigger this bonus which immediately lets you take a plant action. But we'll cover how the plant action works later in the video. The start of the day phase begins with the farmer performing a town action as described in the core rules video. Once that's done, they'll move to performing their specific character action. In the case of the farmer, they'll farm, then resolve a skill. Okay, and since the first thing the farmer does is farm, let's learn that first. When it comes time to farm, the farmer will choose one of their 5 actions: plant, tend, harvest or clear, livestock, or equipment. Each of those options are indicated on his character tray. And as we covered in the alignment section of the core rules video, the actions available to the farmer will be dependent on their alignment. If the farmer is aligned with sprites, they'll be able to perform any one of these 3 actions. If the farmer is aligned with villagers, they'll be able to perform any one of these 3 actions. Note that the middle action can be used regardless of the farmer's alignment. And in case I haven't said it already, you're only performing one of these 5 actions. That said, let's go over each of those actions and how they work, starting with the plant action. When you choose to plant, you're essentially setting down crop tokens on your farmland. Start by selecting a crop token from your crop market. Now, pay attention to where you pick it from. If you get it from one of these 3 zones, it's gonna cost you the indicated amount. But hey, if you're grabbing from that far right zone, that's a freebie. No coins needed. Next, place your chosen crop token onto your farmland with its unattended side face up. That's this darker side with the 1 value coin showing. You can position the token any way you like. There's no wrong orientation. but it's got to be placed adjacent to other crops of the same type. Although, if there are no other crops of that type currently on your farmland, then you can plant it wherever you want. The tend action allows you to give your crops a little tender loving care to boost their value. When you take the tend action, simply select one of your unattended crop tokens on your farmland and flip it to its tended side, which increases the value of that crop token. And you'll see why that matters when we cover the harvest action in just a little bit. When you're flipping a crop token with the tend action, you're allowed to reorient it. So by tending this crop here, I would flip it and then I can orient it like so. But there are a couple of rules that you'll have to follow. First, when you flip a crop token, you cannot disconnect it from its field. Second, when placing the crop token back down, at least one of the token's sections must be placed in a slot that was previously occupied by a portion of that token. So in this example, if I was tending this crop here, I could flip it and orient it like so because this portion of the tile still occupies at least one section of the farmland that it did previously. But other than those two rules, feel free to place those crops wherever you want. The harvest or clear action allows you to either harvest the crops in your farmland to gain the indicated coins, or to remove untamed land tokens at a cost. Harvesting couldn't be easier. When you take the harvest action, simply remove a single crop token from your farmland and earn the amount of coins depicted. So if your crop token is tended, you'll earn a lot more money than if it wasn't. Once you've collected your coins from the supply, place the crop token you removed back into the drawbag. Untamed land tokens work a little differently than crop tokens. The coins depicted on these pieces don't represent money that you'll receive. Instead, it's the cost of removing that untamed land token. So when taking the clear action, select one untamed land token from your farmland, pay the amount shown on the token, and remove it. Keep the untamed land tokens you remove nearby. Do not place them in your drawbag. You might need them later. The livestock action is a little different than the other farm actions because it allows you to buy, sell, move, and breed livestock. What makes the livestock action different is that you're not limited to just one of those actions. You can perform all those actions in any order you want, but you can only perform each of them once. Let's break it down for you. For 3 coins, you can buy 1 livestock token from the supply and place it on any available space on your farmland. To sell livestock, remove any 1 livestock token from your farmland, return it to the supply, and earn 2 coins. When performing the move action, simply pick up a livestock token from any one space on your farmland and move it to any other available space. Breeding is a great way to get free livestock. First, locate any 2 livestock tokens that are adjacent to each other on your farmland. Then place a 3rd livestock token adjacent to any of those 2 tokens for free. Now, there is one exception to this rule. If one of the 2 livestock tokens is being used with an equipment token, you cannot use the same livestock to breed. Later in the video, I'll explain how livestock and equipment work together, but for now, just understand that it's busy and doesn't have much time for socializing. Equipment is a great way to maximize the efficiency of your farm, and the equipment action allows you to buy and sell the necessary equipment. But before you buy or sell it, you're going to need to understand how it works. Each piece of equipment has 2 sides, inactive and active. When initially placing equipment, you'll do so inactive side up. That's the side that shows the cost and livestock required for that equipment token. If your equipment is ever adjacent to a number of livestock tokens equal to or greater than the value shown on the equipment, that equipment token is considered to be active. When that happens, flip that token to its active side to reveal its special ability. And just so we're clear, a single livestock token can count towards more than one piece of equipment. In this example, each of these equipment tokens has a requirement of one livestock. So by placing a livestock token here adjacent to both, I would activate both of these equipment tokens. That is one hard-working cow. Now, if your neighboring livestock count ever drops below the equipment's requirement, the equipment will flip back to its inactive side. Equipment abilities are activated whenever the conditions of the equipment are met. And what each equipment does is explained in the equipment index found in the farmer's journal. Now, I won't be going over what each equipment does, but let's go over an example to give you an idea. Let's take a look at this plow. First thing you'll notice is that this plow is inactive, which we can fix by placing one livestock token adjacent to it when we take the livestock action. Now that I have the plow active, I have access to its ability, which in this case tells me that every time I perform a plant action, I can plant one additional crop into a field that is adjacent to that plow. But keep in mind, you still need to follow all the plant rules that we covered earlier in the plant section of this video. Alright, now that you know how equipment works, let's learn how to buy and sell it. And keep in mind, when taking the equipment action, you can buy and sell in the same action. It's not one or the other. To buy equipment, simply pay the coin cost listed on the token and place the token inactive side up in any open slot on your farmland. When placing your equipment, keep in mind that once it's placed, it can no longer be moved. And you can only buy one equipment token each time you take this action, so choose wisely. When selling equipment, you can sell as much as you want. To sell any piece of equipment, simply remove it from your farmland, return it to the supply, and earn half of the equipment's cost in coins, rounded down. Once you're done performing your farm action, we move on to the resolve skill portion of your character action. In the core video, we touched a bit on how we buy skills for our character, and we'll go over that in more detail a little later in this video. But for now, here's a brief introduction on how to resolve a skill. Let's say, as the farmer, I chose to perform the plant action. Once I've completed the plant action, I would resolve any skill that I've slotted into the space adjacent to that action. So in this example, after I plant, I would resolve this skill here that lets me perform a free breed action, following the same breeding rules that we discussed earlier. Now, if this skill slot were empty, well then, I wouldn't have any skill to resolve. Once you've performed your farmer action and resolved your skill, if any, we move on to the last portion of our farmer's daytime routine, which is perform worker actions. Alright, in the core video, we learned how to hire workers. Now, we're going to learn how to use them. You'll notice that next to each of your farm actions, there is a slot that will hold a single worker. During the perform worker action, you can take a worker from your dice well, tick it down one step, and slot it into any action of the matching color, which means your sprites can be slotted into any of these three spots, and your villagers can be slotted into any of these three spots. This will allow you to perform the actions associated with the slot that you played your worker in. So by placing my sprite worker here, I would be able to perform the tend action following the same rules that we described earlier in the video, although I won't resolve the skill token associated with that action. And the best part is, as long as I still have workers in my dice well, I can keep using them to perform actions. But I want to clarify, you can only use one worker per action. You can't just pile them on to the same action. The Dusk Phase for the farmer adds one additional step. After you return your character and your workers, as we learnt in the core rules video, the farmer will replenish the crop market. To do this, slide all the crop tokens in the market to the right, filling up the rightmost spots. Then draw a random crop token from your bag and fill in the empty space. There might be a case where you'll have more than one empty space in your crop market at the end of the Dusk Phase. When that happens, just continue to replenish the market with tiles from the bag until it's fully stocked. In our Mythwind How to Play video for the core rules, we learned all about the steps we need to take when reaching the end of a season. Some characters, like the farmer, have a character upkeep step in addition to the regular end of season procedures. So after you've resolved end of season actions, your goal cards, reset the weather deck, and changed your season tile, all of which we covered in the core rules video, we move on to the resolve character upkeep. And if you're playing as the farmer, this is what you gotta do. During the farmer's upkeep, troublesome little sprites might cause some overgrowth on your farmland. During the overgrowth step, the farmer rolls a sprite die from the tower or supply. Then they add untamed land tokens to their farmland equal to the die's result. So in this example, if I roll a 2, I would add 2 untamed land tokens back to my farmland. These tokens can go anywhere, even adjacent to each other. If there's limited space, the farmer may have to remove crop tokens to make room, and unfortunately, without earning coins. But fortunately for us, that's not the case. If you don't have enough untamed land tokens to place, then place as much as you can. Oh, and that sprite die you rolled, just place it back where you got it from. If you got it from the supply, return it back to the supply. If you pulled it from the tower, then maintain the current face value that you rolled when you resolved the overgrowth step, and place it back in the tower. But if the result you rolled was a blank, make sure you re-roll it before adding it back to the tower. As highlighted in our core rules video, characters earn skills via the longhouse or certain game effects with this skill icon. To acquire a skill, the farmer must pay its cost using tended crop tokens. These tokens are removed from your farmland without earning you any coins. So to pay for this skill, I would remove 2 strawberry crops, 3 potato crops, and 1 bean crop. And just so we're clear, the size and shape of the crop token has no impact on its value. So each of these tokens is worth 1 crop. Skills have 3 levels. To access levels 2 and 3, one of the depicted sprites must be in play. These sprites will be unlocked by certain event cards. Upon paying for a skill, flip it over to reveal its ability side, and place it into one of the slots on your character tray. When you earn a new skill token, you're free to rearrange any of the skill tokens on your character tray. But that's the only time you can rearrange your skill tokens, so place wisely. If you're looking for a breakdown of what each of the farmer skill tokens do, there's a skill index in the back of the farmer's journal. When you reach the end of a season, you have a few options. Do you start a new season continuing with your current character? Do you put your current character away and start up a new character? Or do you put the entire game away and come back to play another day? Well, whatever your decision, you'll find instructions on how to save your character's progress or how to continue with a new character in the back of that character's personal journal. And you can find instructions for saving and continuing your progress of the main board either in our Mythwind How to Play video or in the back of the town charter. And that's it. I hope this video helps, and I hope you enjoy playing Mythwind. See you next week. Thanks for joining us. If you like this video and you want to see more, subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. But if you want to see more right now, we got plenty of videos to choose from. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.